Hi, it's Carter, the Carter Man, and I'm doing my clues views for you today on video because this is in anticipation of what will become a clues views podcast starting hopefully next Monday. So consider this kind of a preview, okay, a preview of coming attractions, if you will. But what I have to talk to, unfortunately, I also think is a preview of coming attractions. Um, and that's pretty devastating. And it is, of course, the attempted assassination of President Trump there at the golf course in Florida. The third attempted assassination. As some of you are saying, on their card, there's only been two: Butler, Pennsylvania, and then now the golf course in Florida. I beg to differ, and I could be wrong. I beg to differ, but I could be wrong. Remember the mechanical difficulties his plane had a couple weeks back? It had to turn around and go back to land. I think Trump's pretty careful about the maintenance of his plane. I think he has probably one of the best crews in America. I have mechanical difficulties all of a sudden. Just call me suspicious. Let the left call me a conspiracy theorist. A lot of ammo to feed that conspiracy, isn't there? I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in happenstance, not in the political realm. Remember, I worked in Washington, the highest levels, as you've heard me say too many times, for almost 50 years. President of the Constitutional Rights Pact, now one of the most activist political organizations in America. And I know a little bit about politics. I know how it works. And right now it's working in a way that is, to use a word I used earlier, devastating to this country. And so let's get down to the brass tacks on this latest attempt to assassinate our president. We only have one president, and that's Donald Trump. Biden, who has been out of it ever since he took office, is now in a total vegetative state, and actually is in that vegetative state is going back to being kind of likable, like when he put on the Trump hat. Biden was always likable until he got to be president, and deep state started using him for their worst possible purposes, the deep state and the fascist Washington elite establishment. So let's take a look at at this situation up in down in Florida at the golf course, where a man with an AK-47 was ready to just blow Trump away. Done. First of all, let's go back to who's responsible. The left is now saying, well, Trump's rhetoric stirred things up. Trump's rhetoric has been about as benign and matter of fact, kind of humorous ever since his campaign began. He's been serious about the issues, and he has enumerated his positions and done it well, I think. But he also has been kind of lighthearted. Okay, he hasn't made any nasty personal attacks on anybody, so he's not the one that stirred the violent waters. So who did? Well, how many times did you hear the Democrats at their convention, their abortion fest, I should call it, but at their convention, just denigrate Trump in the worst possible terms that would provoke any murderous madman to go after him? They kept calling him an existential threat. In other words, he's a threat to the very existence of our country. Well, if you loved our country and you were mentally deranged, how would you react? Nancy Pelosi said we have to do whatever it takes to stop Donald Trump. Remember the TV interview? Whatever it takes. That's what the guy there in Florida did, didn't he? That's what the kid, if it was the kid in Pennsylvania, did. Maybe what the saboteurs of Trump's plane did. Just saying. Okay, the Kamala Harris in the debate really didn't talk about the issues because she has nothing to talk about. For every stand she has, she already stole from Trump. um, because she's vacuous. So what did she do? She told lies to get people hating Trump. He called for a bloodbath. He's called for a bloodbath if he loses. No, she knew that was a lie. He said there would be an economic bloodbath with China flooding the car market. So she knew she was lying, but she knew that would stir up the blood of those to whom she was talking. Pretty vicious move. Pretty vicious move. It's hate speech. Then she lied about what Trump said about the Charlotte protests. Where Trump said there were fine protesters on either side. Didn't say a word about the Nazis, condemned them. But she lied about that in order to stir up those who hate Nazis. Okay, so how about what Hakeem Jeffries? I have it written here. The House Minority Leader said that we had to destroy extreme MAGA Republicans. We must stop them, and he made this declaration right after Trump just latest assassination attempt. So I guess he's upset they didn't succeed, so he wants to stir up the hate even more. Okay? He wants to stir up the hate even more. The ABC rigged debate, it was geared to make Trump look evil. Make Trump look evil while propping up the empty suit, the empty pantsuit, with questions they had given her, we know now, so she could prepare her answers and queuing her up, okay? We have an affidavit from an ABC insider. So the debate was manufactured to stir up animosity, not to discuss issues, because they wouldn't let Trump talk about issues. Okay? Again, we're seeing a hate atmosphere. You know, then I always talk about Dana Bash, because she's the worst right now. This is a woman who, God knows, well, we do know how she got her position. Dana Bash. Okay, her name is Schwartz. She has been divorced from Bash, the top-level CIA operative, for more than a decade. Okay, she remarried a guy named King. She didn't take his name. So why didn't she revert to her name? Why did she take King's name? Why did she keep the name Bash? Because the woman is nothing but a talking head reading CIA scripts, and they are filled with hate. Watch her. Watch the looks on her face. They're filled with hate, and they generate the animosity, the disdainful, the dangerous dopamines within people, like this latest assassin, the kid in Pennsylvania, if he's the one who did it. Maybe, I'm just saying, some folks who knew how to sabotage a plane. So there we have it. What caused the root cause? And then you have to say, well, if they're the root cause, who finally triggered the guy to try and trigger Trump? Well, ask yourself a question. How did this fruitcake know that Trump was going to be playing golf that day? You know, I was watching Candace Owen, and she brought it up, and look, the woman's right, whether you like her or not. Very few people knew Trump's schedule, that he was going to jump in a plane in Utah and fly there and play around the golf at his own golf club. So who told this fruitcake? Probably wasn't Trump, probably wasn't any of his people. There was somebody who knew, and who knew was the deep state. Secret Service, CIA, FBI. Who knew where the best bushes to hide him were, to take the best shot? Had to be somebody who was expert at that, and this fruitcake certainly wasn't. You know, he thought it was a good idea to go singularly invade Russia, for God's sake, on behalf of Ukraine. Get a connection there? He said he would die for Ukraine. Trump opposes the war in Ukraine, so maybe Trump has to die for Ukraine. I think that somebody might have put that in his head. He's not a smart guy. Not a smart guy. Okay, when you're going to singularly march into Russia to defeat Putin, you're not a smart guy. But you're smart enough to follow directions. So, I'm sorry. 2 and 2 still equal 4. Somebody in the know told the guy, somebody set the guy up. All right, now let's look at what happened. The FBI and Secret Service are taking credit for, well, we stopped this one. Look, we're really good, aren't we? I guess this proves everybody lied about us about Butler. Really? 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 We now are told they fired a lot of shots at the guy. One guy in the bushes, they fired a lot of shots. I think they're supposed to be trained as marksmen and women. They couldn't hit one guy in the bushes. They allowed him to escape, which he did, and which he totally would have had it not been, well, not because of the Secret Service and FBI. One person who saw him and was suspicious photographed the license plate. The local police then passed it on to the sheriff's office throughout the area, and they are the ones who pulled the car over and arrested the guy. Not the FBI, though they're trying to take credit, not the Secret Service, who apparently are the gang that couldn't shoot straight, the local authorities. The guy was getting away. Something's wrong with this picture. There is something wrong with this picture. Okay? And I think you can see it as well as I can. All right? And that brings me to my final point. We're getting a little long here. Remember, this is the Clues Views in preparation for the upcoming Clues Views podcast, which will be every Monday, and I'll discuss the issues and interview a top newsmaker. So let's get to the final point here. Where do we go from here? I saw a great piece by Megyn Kelly today. Excellent. Megyn very sadly was saying this will not be the last. They want to kill this man. Okay? Remember, Megyn and Trump went at it, but she said, look, when I went to see him, he hugged me and told me, it's good to be in the news, Megyn. So she knows this is a good, decent man. And it looked like she was near tears saying they're going to try again. And that is the problem, folks. That's where we go from here. That's where we go from here. The military-industrial complex, the fascist Washington elite. And remember, I worked with these people. They're not going to stop because Trump is the existential threat to them. Let me show you what happened to the last man who was an existential threat to them. Remember this gentleman? I got this in 1963. I've had it ever since when they shot him. We now know the CIA, the deep state, the Washington elite, fascist establishment. Why? Because he had said he was going to rip the CIA to shreds and throw it to the wind. He had pledged to stop the war in Vietnam. I saw his desk when it was on tour. The notes were right there, and he was bringing an end to it. The military establishment doesn't want to hear you hitting their profits. Okay? Trump is a threat to the CIA, just like this gentleman was. Trump is a threat to the military-industrial establishment to stop the wars around the world. So they're not going to stop until they hope they can do to him what they did to John Kennedy. Okay? So our role is to encourage him to stay in the fight. CRPAC does it every day. We have our own Trump group that you go to the website, check it out, contribute to helping that fight, and let's get him elected. Let's get him elected. And let's put an end. Let's put an end to the deep state, CIA, Washington fascist elite establishment control of this country, which only Trump can do, and which he may be the embodiment of our last chance to do it. All right? So Let's do this thing. Stay strong.